Hello and welcome back to the second episode of the Pick and Pop podcast. Today I am joined by basketball expert Kento Suji, where we were talking about the second round of the NBA playoffs and doing a little fun NBA player fantasy draft. So the first series we're going to get into, series I did not talk about last time in the first episode. Oh, and keep in mind that this is recorded on Monday afternoon at 2:20 p.m. currently, so before the Game 4 results of both Boston versus New York and Minnesota versus Golden State. So what we're talking about now is Denver versus OKC. Last night in a defensive grind fest, the Thunder come back and they're down, I think, 6 at the end of the quarter. Thunder came back and won that game. I believe the final score was 92 to 87. So OKC now has some home advantage back when the biggest wins of the Thunder sort of this kind of Mark Dagnall era for OKC as they were going 3-1 and get back home court. So to start, I want to highlight just to highlight a sort of standout player from this game, like someone that's caught your attention. Who you say is your sort of standout player?
I would say that my standout player from the game was Jalen Williams, probably.
Uh
'Cause
huh.
I thought his defense on Aaron Gordon was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He had like a lot of picks,
Yeah.
in my opinion, and I think he was kind of more of a connector than Shea.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like Shea was really he was almost ball stopping because he ended up in a lot of like isolation situations, just taking longer mid range shots. And then I felt like Jada was more of like that steady force for
Yeah.
OKC. And then yeah, I think like just like these guys like Case Wallace and also like Caruso, they were like pretty good like defensive playmaking and like
Yeah.
that stuff. So yeah.
And no one could really like Jalen Williams this game. His shot just sort of abandoned him. He was really, I think, like 0 for 5 from three, only 2 for 13 overall. But like the tenacity of this Thunder team, and all season long they've been one of the best teams at forcing turnovers, at getting passing lanes, especially in that first quarter. They were like good, like I guess Sexton only had 3 steals, 1 block. I felt like more than that. I feel like every play he was just playing great defense. His versatility, his sort of quick hands, he's such he's such like a pest on defense that. But I do think. What do you think about his offense? Like, what do you think about his scoring game?
Yeah, obviously his shots weren't falling, but I felt like that was like the story for both teams
Yeah,
where both teams like I think earlier in the game I was watching it too and I think I saw like multiple like even wide open air balls where like there
yeah,
weren't even like guys playing defense, which is pretty like those are shots that they should hit. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I feel like Jalen Williams, if he can get a shot back, he's a skilled player and stuff, and just great guy at finding a way to impact the game. I think defensive year has been one of the better defensive players in the league on this OKC team. That's I think has one of the best sort of net relative defensive ratings of all time. My player I want to highlight, I do think sort of like this sort of a trio. OKC overall was 10 for 41 from three, but 8 of those sort of came from that bench unit of Casey Wallace 3 for 3, Aaron Wiggins 3 of 6, Caruso 2 of 5. Like those guys, especially in the fourth quarter, uh, on the sort of caught by doing multiple guys, but I feel like especially Wiggins, not sorry, Wallace and Crusoe on defense. Crusoe on Jamal Murray was really tenacious. Wallace, I feel like always gets steals, so that's always a pass sort of part of that OKC swarming style defense. And yeah, Wallace and Wiggins hit some pretty big threes. Do you have anything to say about sort of the energy that those guys brought? And I feel like they were very key for that sort of OKC flipping the switch because Denver really had gotten the momentum back in the third quarter. I feel like especially the energy Caruso brought was really huge.
Yeah, I feel like Caruso's definitely like just always picking. He's like just so athletic. He's always everywhere.
Yeah,
And I think that the three guys off the bench are like really important, especially when a guy like Lou Dort, I think he's shooting like under 30% from three in the
yeah,
playoffs. That's why they like just cut minutes from him.
yeah,
So I think just like their spacing and their athleticism is just really really huge.
Mhm. Um, Also, I said I know you focused on a lot on OKC. Obviously, they were the winning team, a huge win for them. I was also very impressed with Christian Brown. I thought only 2 for 9. His defense was pretty elite on Shea, bothering him. Had some great steals and stuff. Just seemed like sort of similar situation to Jalen Williams. That well, did get 17 points, did 8 free throws, so his sort of regression sort of helped him get to the line. But like really, no on Denver besides maybe Aaron Gordon had a good offensive game, but this OKC team has been pretty elite offense. Denver did help them to 92 points on 36% shooting. I thought Brown sort of his pesky defense was a pretty huge reason why. So if you have anything to add on that, we can.
Yeah, I for sure think that his defense on Shea has just been like a huge story
Mhm.
throughout this series, as Shea is supposed to be one of the most consistent players
Yeah,
in the league, but he has had a lot of his struggles show. And I think like obviously he didn't shoot well, but his willingness to just more like step up and take extra shots was pretty huge. Like I kind of remember watching and like Jokic's shots just aren't doing anything. Like and Christian Braun would be more like willing to take those open threes, which as like obviously in the playoffs he's shooting 29% now, but in the season he's shooting nearly 40% on only like 3 attempts a game, and he can
yeah.
definitely like tick that up and sacrifice like a little bit of his percentage.
Yeah. Um, I think the next thing to hit on with this series is obviously the big storyline is the two kind of top MVP candidates. It's been a huge sort of combo all season long. So just how you sort of rate the performances. It's much talked about the performances of Nikola Jokic for Denver and of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for OKC.
Yeah, for sure. I think for Shea specifically, I still see a lot of instances where he's trying to like continue to foul bait,
Yeah.
which obviously, like as we saw in which game was it again? Like game two, maybe, or game three? One
Game
of
two is when
or
they blew them
I
out.
think game three.
Uh huh.
Like he continued to try to foul bait, like even in clutch time,
Yeah.
and that was like the possession where like they're gonna like take the lead, I think, or tie the
Hmm.
game. I forget which one, but that was pretty not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for Jokic, it's been just a really big struggle with him out for him. I was kind of looking through like his percentages, and like last year he was able to like take 25% of his shots from like 0 to 3 feet.
Yeah.
This year that's actually down to like 11%, which is like over
Yeah.
half. Like he's doing well from there, but he's just not able to get there. I think it's
Hmm.
maybe because of like the two twin towers that OKC has, with
Yeah.
like Hartenstein playing really physical defense on
Yeah.
him, with also Chet as a presence there. And like he's taking a majority of his shots like in more of that floater range, 3 to 10. But he's only shooting 48% from there,
Yeah.
which is like a lot worse than he usually does. And he's just had to rely a lot on his touch, which just hasn't been doing it him well this
Yeah. I feel
series.
like a we have to give props to Hartenstein,
Yeah,
who's been great, like playing physical, playing him out, contesting well, but defending Jokic is obviously a big team effort. See, every time he spins, there's someone sort of in his sort of like sort of like how teams in the past have built a wall against Giannis and sort of try to get help from all directions. With Jokic, you see they spin and oh, it's Shea's there on his blind side. Caruso's kind of digging down and helping. Chet at the rim helping off, and it felt like the whole game. OKC, it's the game plan was like, oh, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Russell Westbrook, like, oh, you can shoot all the threes you want.
yeah.
They really packed the paint, and in the role players of Denver just couldn't bail Jokic out. I felt like they just kind of got frustrated at that point. Sort of, in like you said, from that 3 to 10 foot range, he was missing shots normally. Sort of like Sombor shuffles, sort of like fallaways or kind of step back mid range shots that Jokic usually has such a good touch. He just wasn't making those shots, and it also felt like with all the pressure that's on him, he sort of became hesitant to drive inside. Like you said, his sort of at rim shot rate is down this playoff. I think Denver sort of just having some help and stuff. and started using that sort of defense by committee. As for Shea, I think looking at it, he's still getting to the line a decent amount. It's per 100 in the playoffs. And the regular season there was at 12.4 free throw attempts per 100. Now it's at 11.5. So I don't know. I feel like it's looking at it. It's mainly just his 3-point shot, only 24%. I think he's in good looks, but he's a guy that this season, he's at 37.5% from three. So he's good, but I don't say he's elite from three. I guess his shots kind of abandoned him. Because looking at Shea, like you think that he's a guy that his game's so versatile. He's a great mid-range shot. He seems like he can always get to like his release. His great step back. He uses his body well. I feel like it's kind of just he's missing shots that he normally makes because, like in my opinion, you would think of him as a guy who sort of the playoff dropper. So do you think it's just like his luck's kind of been bad?
Yeah, that could be it for sure. So I mean, he's still, yeah, like to the numbers he's still getting to the line.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, his shots aren't really falling.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else to add, or how you see this series going forward?
I don't know. I think something just like really interesting is Aaron Gordon's like just like shooting just kind of coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, like, usually guys like him who've been like bad free throw shooters throughout their entire careers, like they don't usually just turn out to be good shooters. But like in the regular season, he had like a what 15% boost in his free throw shooting too. In the playoffs, he's all of a sudden hitting like 87% from the line with his 41% from 3-point range. So that kind of feels like something that could stick. But yeah, it's like been one of the most important things for them because like Aaron Gordon averaging like 18, 8 and 3 for them is just like really huge.
Yeah, because like he's a career 33% 3-point shooter, but this year that was 44%.
Yeah.
On 3.4 attempts per game. I think a lot of those are probably corner looks like from Jokic's passing. In the playoffs now, he's at 41%, so it's really not changed. And like Jokic is the one that in regular season Jokic was such a good shooter. Now Jokic in the playoffs, he just can't make it at all. He is regular season Jokic was 41% on like 5 attempts per game. In the playoffs, he's at least he's only 34%. But like that, if I looked into it, I think that'd be worse in the OKC series. Yeah, in the OKC series.
I think the last 2 games he's shooting like 2 for 18.
Yeah,
which is like
Jokic, like these guys in playoffs, he's been such a good scorer, but now he's like the stats are still there. 26.5 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, but sub 50% true shooting. So they're gonna need like, honestly, OKC is just like they're the better team. Like look at the role players on this team, sort of the complementary stars. Like Hartenstein, Chet, kind of mentioned there's 3 bench guys with like Wiggins, Wallace, Caruso, J-Dub. Like OKC, there's a reason this team won 68 games. They're definitely not like I think OKC can afford a poor Shea game more than Denver can. Like that may be kind of ironic to say, given that Denver won Game 3 with Jokic not playing well. But if OKC were to lose the series, I think that would be a super big disappointment for them, way bigger than Denver losing this series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, OKC is like viewed as to some like even the greatest team ever with like their net rating and stuff. So I think I agree with that.
Yeah, Denver's gonna need obviously Westbrook, an inconsistent player. They're gonna need more from him. Only 23% from 3 this series. Brown 26%. Porter Jr. 32%. Murray, he's been solid this year. I think this game, he's a guy that like sort of inconsistent because he doesn't get to the rim too much. That's one issue I've always had with him. But yeah, Jokic is seeming a bit overtaxed. So going forward, who are you leaning with, and like how do you see the rest of this series playing out?
I mean, I definitely think OKC is winning the series. Like yesterday, we saw like Denver have a huge regression in their shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, their 3-point percentage from the season was like around 37%, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's still 37% in the playoffs, whereas OKC was like similar 37%, but now all of a sudden they're shooting 32%. So I
Yeah.
think that's really bound to like just average out towards this second of this
I could
series.
see Game 5 and coming back home and stuff after sort of like you said, that regression to the mean for OKC on their 3-pointers. I could see it being sort of a blowout game, sort of like Game 2 style. Like, when thinking about Jokic, I did find this defense was really good this game.
Yeah.
I thought he had like 4 steals, like even like covering like short space or then drop coverage. He was really good. You know, defense gets a lot of criticism, but I thought that he did really well and was a pretty big reason why OKC's offense didn't get going. But yeah, I feel like this is a big momentum grabbing game for OKC, and I think they win Game 5, whether 6 or 7. I'm not sure. I might lean 6 for OKC, but Jokic. Denver could have a really hot game as well, and Jokic could sort of bounce back. But definitely fun series. But yeah, OKC I feel like has the upper hand now after winning that game and with home revenge.
Just one last thing. I feel
Uh-huh.
like Jokic's series right now is like reminding me exactly. I mean, the numbers look similar too of what Sengun was like experiencing in the playoffs. Like the paint is just getting clogged,
Yeah,
and his 2-point shooting number is just like absolutely plummet because he can't get to the rim.
yeah. Okay, so for this next segment, we're gonna be doing a little sort of fantasy players draft. Basically, how the rules work is 8-man team for both of us, and one player from each remaining playoff team. Second round, 8 teams left. We're doing. Someone gets the first. I'll get the first pick. Then Kento will get picks 2 and 3, and after that, we'll sort of go back and forth. And the goal is sort of to make a team. Like imagine this team was put into this playoffs. And your goal is to win the title this season. It's not looking forward multiple years into the future. It'll depend on like maybe someone will factor in like past performance more. Maybe some other people will care more about like how they're playing right at this exact moment. So you feel like you got the roles. You feel like you're ready.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I have the first pick. One play for team. It's a guy go talked about a lot already on this podcast. Though I think he normally would be the number one pick. But I think he's especially the number one pick. We factor in how much better he is than anyone else on his team. Remember, you have to get one player for each team. So with the first pick, I'm taking from the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, to be my center. Obviously, we did mention struggles, kind of sort of shooting the ball, how the OKC defense has affected him this series, how his efficiency has really fallen off a cliff. But one of the best offensive players of all time this year became the third player ever to average a triple double. I think let's see the stats. 30 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, amazing efficiency. Arguably the best passer of all time. Great touch. This season was an elite 3-point shooter too. Used the shot super well. Just sort of like obviously is going to be the main engine of our offense. And having a center who can play make so well will be huge. On defense, definitely struggle there. But I do think uses his hands super nicely. Can be positioned well. Not like yeah. We will get back to Jokic on defense, but the offense is definitely where we're getting for one of the best offensive players of all time. Do you anything Alan Jokic before we get into your first 2 picks? Not really.
Nah.
Okay. Then who are you doing with your picks 2 and 3?
Okay, so with pick 3, I don't know yet, but pick 2, I'm gonna go with SGA for sure. That's probably what he's the MVP. Did he get chosen?
I don't chosen yet, but it seems like he's the odds on. He's the clear favorite to win MVP.
Yeah, the clear favorite for the MVP. Probably my MVP too, Shea. I think he's just like a really easy guy to build off of. He has the traits that you need as like a number one for a playoff team, and then he's also not a defensive liability.
Yeah.
He's in the passing lanes. I think just has his shot making, and in this case, I'll probably slot him in at the two
Yeah,
because his weaknesses mainly that he's shown is that like he can't really run the offense
yeah.
with like his playmaking towards the end of the game. But I think with my number one pick, that'll be perfectly fine to pick Shea. And then I think with my second pick,
Just wait, Rich was saying, I'll touch on Shea a little bit. I yeah, a guy that I think frankly is a good defender. Uses his length well, gets a lot of steals. On offense, the passing is an issue. I feel he benefits him from playing next to like a good passing big man like Isaiah Hartenstein. But he's a guy that his scoring draws so much attention towards him that he's able to play make a lot. He's able to create open threes for guys like Lou Dort, Casey Wallace, Jalen Williams. He's a guy that not the best passer, but I feel like his scoring is so potent that he's a guy that's going to create good offense for your team. And his scoring, his mid-range shot, I feel like one of the best mid-range shot makers of all time. He's really uses his body to create separation, sort of north to south, like step backs and stuff. His speed is really good. So yeah.
so honestly, this kind of goes slightly against my point guard thing, but I'm gonna go with Curry
Uh huh.
just because I think. I mean, look, if you look at his stats right now, they're a little bit deflated, but I think that's because like his injuries,
Yeah.
like his injury game, as well as like the Warriors have been blown out a few games.
Mm-hmm.
But I think obviously he's just like the best shooter, and I mean he's still he can definitely like win you a game,
Yeah.
which I value a lot in the playoffs. He has like the most experience probably out of the entire group, and yeah.
Yeah, and also they're pretty clear best player on the Warriors. We've seen how their offense has struggled pretty mightily without him. In this last game, 2 and 3, even if he's not shooting well, talked about a lot, but his gravity, his ability to play both on ball and off ball, I think it's just fit next to Shea. So having the kind of the ISO scoring guard next to the great sort of off ball force in Curry, and then Curry can also play on ball too. His handle is an elite handle, of course. So I definitely like that pick. Um, to think, my second pick to pair with Jokic. There's a couple guys I'm deciding between, but it's a guy that it might be a bit unsurprised, but it's a guy that I did criticize in my last podcast, and his sort of has definitely had his fair share of inconsistencies in his playoffs and throughout his career in the playoffs. I feel like he brings such good versatility. He's a guy that can defend well, play make, shoot, drive inside. It's like pairs well with Jokic. I'm going to go with Jason Tatum from the Boston Celtics at my pick, kind of things I mentioned. Even the shot, I feel like Tatum in this playoffs has been missing shots that he normally makes. Um, he's like inside, like watching Game 4 of Celtics versus Knicks. The shots kind of where you got a good shot is he's missed it and stuff. I think him next to Jokic and stuff. So I think him more off ball. Maybe taking some responsibility off him to him sort of as that like second option. Swiss Army knife, can defend well, play make, shoot, uh, drive inside. Yeah, despite struggles, I feel like he's a good pick next to Jokic. Anything to add on Tatum? We haven't talked about him yet.
Um, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that probably would have been my next pick
Mm-hmm.
if I were to pick. I mean, he just obviously has that length, and right now he's like the focal point of his offense. But I feel
Yeah,
like if you put him as more of like a complementary role, he'll do so
yeah,
much better.
yeah.
I think like his shooting woes in the playoffs are something that everyone's gonna point out,
Mm-hmm.
but I really think it's something that's gonna like balance out as time
Yeah.
goes on. And he's still like in my eyes like a pretty easily a top 7 player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, Richardson Tatum was only at like 34%. His efficiency here isn't great, but good volume, 6 assists per game. That's a lot of assists, and then I feel like a very underrated defensive player, and a guy that is I think adding a bit more of an in between game, uses handle well for his size. But there are times when you're like you want to be more aggressive and stuff. Hopefully, having Jokic on the team would unlock that. But yeah, who do you have for your third pick?
Yeah, I'm trying to work it out with like who you might pick next and
Yeah,
that stuff.
a lot of strategies that come in place with only one player per team.
For sure. I think I'm kind of between three-ish players right now. Maybe like four-ish players, but I
Yeah.
think I'm just gonna go with Anthony Edwards and probably just slot him on my bench, just
Uh
because I
huh.
think he's like, pro- I wouldn't say he's, I would say he's like a top two player left.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna take him and slot him on my bench. To be honest,
Uh huh.
I think like he's had some shooting struggles lately, but I think in the big scheme of things, he's like a top two shooter in the league.
Mhm.
And when he can't even shoot, like last game, in like the first half, he couldn't find his jumper. So in the second half, he just decided to just start getting downhill,
Yeah.
and that's when the game just really opened up for him, and he really took over the game and won the game for the Timberwolves.
Yeah. Games 1 and 2 against the Warriors, the shot was struggling. He's even missing layups inside than normally makes. He just like his whole game fell off, and that kind of continued into the first half of Game 3. In the second half, he got way more aggressive and stuff. He had that big poster dunk on Kevon Looney. He's making more threes. He's one of the most electric players in the league, and a guy that I think his defense can be overrated. But when he locks in, he has the size, he has the tools, he has sort of like the core strength, the build to really put in some good possessions on that end. Um, I do think that the one thing I've never been a big fan of his passing. That's
Yeah,
obviously the big sort of flaw with his game.
for sure.
The times you see like Gobert open and he misses it. He's definitely more of a score first guy. But yeah, a terrific shooter, a great one of the best sort of balances of a guy that's of elite shooting and elite athleticism too. So it brings some spark to the team. Um, ooh, my it's my third pick now. Um, there's a couple guys I'm between. I think we're 6 picks in. I think we've covered every team except for like 3 of them. Um, I think there's a few guards remaining, but I'm going to go with Donovan Mitchell from. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go Donovan Mitchell from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Uh, I think just an electric scorer in the playoffs so far. He's the exact stats up, but he is putting up 29 points per game. Last year I had 30 points per game. Um, a guy said uses his body so well. It's sort of very like a kind of like a low center of gravity, great hang time. His 3 point shot this playoffs has been inconsistent, but I think genuinely a very good shooter and a guy that just his aggression is great. Passing not the best, but I feel like on the Jokic team you'll need passing with like his sort of athleticism. That 2-man game with Jokic. His I think also defense. I think is that bad. I think he uses sort of girthy body well on that end. Sort of he's a pretty built guy, but I think yeah, just mainly that athleticism, that scoring, and the threat that 3 point shot too, which the playoffs hasn't been great, but overall is going to be big. And yeah, Tatum and Mitchell are guys that they have had the struggles from three, but I think with Jokic and them getting more easy looks, getting more like catch and shoot shots, their percentages will increase a lot. So yeah, that is my third pick, and now it's for your fourth pick.
Oh wait, and then also to be clear, if I pick someone from like let's say the Warriors, then I can't pick anybody else from the
No,
Warriors. Oh, okay, okay. Hmm.
so
I
you have someone from the Thunder, T Wolves, and Warriors so far.
okay. I think, and then what? You have somebody from
The Nuggets, Cavs and Celtics.
Honestly, with that in mind, I'm thinking I'll just take. I'm between like two guys, honestly. I think I'm gonna just go with. Wait, I can't think.
So you're between the sort of the Knicks, Celtics, Nuggets, Pacers, Cavs are the five teams you're deciding between right now.
I guess the two teams that we both have not picked from are the
Pacers
Pacers
and
and
the
the
Knicks.
Knicks. Yeah, okay, so that's interesting to think about.
You're a pretty guard heavy team right now. I think you have all guards. And I guess Shea or Ant could play at the three, but
Yeah,
you're pretty heavy
it's
on
not too
perimeter players.
ideal. I'll probably just take Siakam.
Uh-huh.
I think obviously he's just like a four without like too many weaknesses. I
Yeah.
don't think he's gonna help me too much in anything specifically, but he's been just like shooting really well this season.
Yeah.
And he's just on this Pacers team that has like a really like fluid offense. So I think I'll
Yeah.
just slot him in at the four.
Moves the ball well, great in transition, good defense. I do feel like I didn't get to catch game four, which I know he had a big game there. But I feel like his sort of scoring in isolation hasn't been great. He settles for sort of like fadeaways a lot of the time. He's not meant to be a number one scoring option, which is like on Indiana maybe sort of can be tasked into because they're more of sort of like a balanced team. But sort of in that support role, so that'd be like glue guy role next to these pretty huge scorers like Steph and Shea, a guy that always cut, run transition, and play defense, hit the open three. I think that's definitely a good pick for Indiana. Um, my turn now. Ooh. I think I want next Jokic. I need some defense. Um, I need someone to back him up as a rim protector. I know Brunson's probably the clear best guy available, especially for the Knicks. I don't love him next to Donovan Mitchell for kind of the defensive purposes of that sort of duo. So I'm taking the first sort of duplicate player from a team you've already taken from, and I'm going to take Chet Holmgren from OKC. I think a guy that his offense has been inconsistent in the playoffs, to say the least. And look at his stats right now. He's putting up. He's making 34%, but only 42% from the field. But 2.5 blocks per game, good versatility. Is a lot better for Jokic. You know, you see the connection between him and Hartenstein. Hartenstein, like in game four in Denver series, through multiple lobs to Holmgren, sort of from that like short roll. So for him, Jokic have a great connection there on that end in terms of Jokic throwing him lobs, and then on defense, Holmgren just backing up Jokic. So if Jokic sort of caught out in traffic, backing him up as a rim protector, getting blocks, versatility, great range. So he's really got it that fills in some weaknesses for this team that come with playing Jokic at the five.
Yeah, honestly, I like that pick, especially since like if you really need to, Chet can probably play next to Jokic.
Yeah.
And
like I said, the same way he plays next to Hartenstein, and that's been a very effective lineup all season long for Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, and something else I thought about was like, I mean, I didn't watch the full game, but when I watched the game of, what's it called, Thunderburst and Nuggets,
Yeah.
Something that really stood out to me was just like Hartenstein's passing to
Yeah.
Chet in like the dunker spot.
Yeah.
I think there was like 2 lobs in a row at some point. And with Jokic, that only gets better.
Yeah, so you ever gets going downhill off maybe like a little screening action between like having a 2-man game between Jokic and D Mitch, and then Jokic kind of gets in the short roll and throwing the lob because he's Hartenstein pretty much, but better passing and also a much bigger threat to score than Hartenstein. Though I love Hartenstein with his little like push shot. It's obviously not the same level as Jokic, who's one of the best passers and scorers in the league.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited to imagine a connection. I'll never see it, but it's fun. It's fun to imagine that. So now for your, I guess this is your fifth pick now.
Yeah, it's my fifth pick. So I guess at this point there's like four teams for me to pick from, and that would be the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Knicks, and the Cavs. I think there's like I'm thinking I know the guy who I want from the Cavs,
Yeah.
but the other three, honestly, not too sure as much. I think I might have to just go with somebody less ideal from the Knicks, but honestly, like I think I didn't think this through enough because I'm looking at a guy like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
I felt like I should have just picked or let the Warriors fall aside because
Yeah.
I like those top two from the Warriors,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm just gonna take my backup point guard.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just take Brunson.
Uh-huh.
My team's like honestly really scoring heavy. I didn't
Yeah.
imagine it to be like this, but just like not being able to take two guys that I kind of like. I don't know why I envisioned at the very start, and then the next second I realized I couldn't pick guys on teams already picked, like Jimmy and J Dub. But I'll just try to go BPA at this point.
So Brunson, you're getting a pretty big scoring overload there, but I do think definitely the best player available. Great. I'm curious to see how him, Shea, and Ant are gonna all fit together. But Brunson, your scoring is not lacking on that team to be certain. I'm kind of regretting missing out on taking home run early. I feel like I could have waited on that. I because besides Brunson on the Knicks, I don't love my other options in terms of sort of like going forward on that team. Well, I think for missing out on Brunson, I still kind of want someone in my point guard slot. I think the obvious choice is Tyrese Halliburton.
For sure.
Has struggled the last few games in this series, but a guy that great touch, a guy that's always gets to spot and stuff. Incredible clutch player. Has many big shots. You sort of long strides well, and then one of the best passes in the league. Of like him and Jokic, that passing combo is gonna be elite. Defense has been an issue with him, but I feel like defense has actually been pretty good this postseason. Uses his length well, is a smart defender. A guy that could get hunted a bit, so that our defense might be a bit of a problem. But I think a guy that can hold his own and not be a total liability on that end. But yeah, the main thing, of course, is his playmaking. Can shoot it through well off ball. He's a great sort of connective guy that always seems to get the offense flowing, and then in transition too. Pacers one of the best transition teams in Halliburton. His ability to sort of kickstart the fast break is what makes him so potent in that aspect of the game.
Yeah, I feel like especially when he just has shooters, like he doesn't even need to be a primary scorer himself.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's like one of the, he could be like the best like pure point guard in the NBA right now.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue for that. So
yeah,
I like that pick a lot for sure.
Before we get to your pick, let's just recap because we both have 5 picks. I think I probably have my starting 5 done, and then you probably picked some bench players so far. Yeah. So currently, I have a point guard. I have Tyrese Halliburton. My shooting guard, I have Donovan Mitchell. Small forward, I have Jason Tatum. Power forward, who might start, might not, I have Chet Holmgren, and then center, I have Nikola Jokic. So the 3 teams I'm missing right now are the Knicks, the T-Wolves, and the Warriors. And then, so who do you have so far for your 5?
So I have Curry, Shea as my starting backcourt, and then my starting power forward is Siakam, and then I have 2 guys off the bench so far, and that's gonna be Brunson and Ant.
And then what teams are you missing?
I'm missing. I think I'm missing a guy from the Celtics, a guy from the Cavs, and then a guy from the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking the most difficult one is definitely just going to be the Nuggets guy for me.
Yeah.
But I think at this point it doesn't really matter the order.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just take my guy from the Cavs, Evan Mobley.
Uh-huh.
He's my starting center.
Yeah.
I was honestly considering taking him like 3 rounds earlier, but after Donovan Mitchell, and I just kind of like let him sit a
Yeah.
little bit. But I think
Good strategy.
obviously Evan Mobley's the defensive player of the year this year. He's even shooting it well in the playoffs. I think he's like a good passer, and especially if he could be like the focal point as like the center on offense, because obviously he has to share those duties with like Jared Allen. But I think if he can do that, it's gonna be like unlock his game even more. He's gonna get closer to a guy like Anthony Davis. So that's what I want as my starting five.
Like, you've heard the sort of mini Kevin Garnett comparisons in the past for Mobley, but guy is such does everything well in my opinion. Especially now that his 3-point shot has improved. He's this year 37% on 3 attempts per game in the regular season. In postseason, that's at the 45%. Obviously, smaller sample size because he did miss some games. At least one game due to injury in the postseason. Um, he's a guy. Also, I think he's improved a lot as well in terms of his like post game. The guy that can't really be like not off his spots as easily. Can hold his ground well. Good touch. Good sort of hook shot. They're a guy that can play off ball. Definitely not a primary scorer, but a guy you can go to in the post and can give you basket occasionally. But the main thing is the defense. He's amazing on the end. Great shot blocker. Versatile. Provides can play the 4 or the 5. I think the one thing maybe is his rebounding. I guess he's said 9 per game. It's not terrible, but yeah, definitely guy, do it all guy that anybody would be happy to have him on the team, granted on offense and on defense. I think has been much improved this year, and the large reason for why the Cavs have won 64 games and were the 1 seed. Even though in the playoffs they're now down 3-1 to Indiana. My pick, I think now every team has been covered, so now we're kind of picking duplicates of teams, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the order doesn't matter. But I'm just going to go with Jimmy Butler from the Warriors. A guy that I think arguably his best skill is his foul drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Great sort of foul baiter, can experience sort of wily veteran type presence. Can get to the mid range well, and I think the last game he had 33 points. I think one thing I'll say about Jimmy Butler is he injured his back in the playoffs. I just think his aggression went down. He wasn't looking for shot as much. He seemed to be in too much of a pass first mode on that end. But on defense, can defend well. Great in passing, he's a great off-ball defender. Great sort of off-ball player. Cuts well. It's the pass. Sort of another sort of do-it-all, smart veteran player. He can also sort of score when called upon and when needed. And I do think that sort of injury has affected him this playoffs, because I thought that's hamped his aggression on that end. Do you have anything to say about Jimmy Butler?
I mean, yeah, I really like that pick. If I could, I probably would have picked him like near 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
But I think he's like obviously with him on the Warriors, we can kind of see that he's one of the biggest embodiments of a guy who just does what his team needs. Because obviously with a guy like Curry, he takes more of a back seat and he focuses more on like finding the shooters.
Yeah.
But obviously when he doesn't have those shooters, kind of like, I mean, he did have shooters on the Heat, but he was the main guy on the Heat. So I mean, he'd take matters into his own hands, just really focus on getting to the rim, which is something I really like too.
I think he's lost sort of his burst a little bit, sort of athleticism. But on this team, I think we have that. We have a lot of that. We don't need him to be a big scorer. We need to do the little things, which he's great at, and especially in a 6-man role or potentially 6-man role. I'm not sure if I'll start him or Chet on this team. It might depend on matchups and if we're playing this into in the league, and so hypothetical scenarios. So now I believe it's your 7th pick. So you're second to last pick.
And I don't know. I'm looking at my team. I don't know if I love the way I constructed it, to be honest. I actually don't like the way I constructed it, but it's okay. I think I'm just gonna go with no center on my bench, which is a bit crazy.
Uh huh.
But I'm just gonna pick Derek White
Uh huh.
because I think I mean he actually is like the best, one of the best interior defending guards of all
Yeah.
time. So that's a little bit of coping for me. But I think I'll I really value that he's like a really good shooter. He's one of the most steady forces on the
Yeah.
Celtics. I think he's their second best player.
Uh huh. That's definitely a
Um,
fair take.
and he definitely would fit my team better than a guy like Jalen Brown.
Yeah. And White this year, 3.5 mid threes per game on 39%. He's returned early in his career. He was not a 3-point shooter at all, really, or kind of
Yeah,
average. But last 2 seasons, he is numbers right now. But last year 40% on like 7 attempts per game. This year 38% on 9 attempts per game. So getting a lot of volume on that end, and then defense too. Good one-on-one defender, uses his length well, and then one of the best guard shot blockers of all time. In last game against the Knicks, he had a great block on Jalen Brunson, so he was cutting to the basket. He's a glue guy, though. Makes extra pass, does everything well. So really just a winner. A guy that'll do everything you want him to do. And yeah, one of the best role players in the league, I would say.
I think Derek White on this team, I might even start him at the three because I think just like having three guards off the bench with Derek White, Brunson, and Ant makes me a little bit uncomfortable. But I think guys like Derek White and Ant are like athletic, and I think my team will struggle a lot with boards. Um, but it'll have to do. Yeah.
Jokic is giving that team the business. Jokic might put up a good 40-20. I think it has to be a big team effort guarding Jokic on that team. I don't know how well Mobley would. It's like guarding someone like Jokic might be his weakness. That might be where he sort of area where he struggles the most in terms of his sort of defensive kind of lack of size or sort of strength and size for Mobley. Um, Now I have two more picks as well for my team. I'm missing a player from the Knicks and from the T Wolves as well. Uh, I feel like both guys on one team are more so like wing defenders. The order I going out don't really matters. This may be surprised because I don't know if he's the second. And I think I'm going to check the five because I want some more like maybe spread out five out teams. I feel like taking a center wouldn't really help the team that much. This maybe a surprise pick, but I'm convinced when T Wolves, I'm going to take Jaden McDaniels. I think a guy that uses his length so well, one of the best wing defenders in the league, and the playoffs his offense has stepped up. He's at 16 points per game. He's shooting 40% from three. Uses sort of his athleticism well, his length inside to score. Um, but mainly there for his defense and for his ability to cover wings and guards too. Great versatility on that end, and then a guy that can hit the open three. Good transition, can drive inside. So a good support piece on offense. Yeah, do you have anything to say on Jaden McDaniels?
Yeah, I like that pick. I think it just allows for the other stars on your team to kind of have some breathing room where they can like do what they want on offense while they have a guy who can kind of like play more of a more quiet role on offense while he like really puts in a lot of effort on the defensive end. So I
Mm-hmm.
like that balance for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Now your final pick to close out the team. Who are you going with? And it's someone from the Nuggets, I believe, is
yeah.
the team you're missing.
I mean, I think you'll probably be able to guess who I'm about to pick. He'll also have to play a small ball backup five for me.
Yeah.
It's a guy who's been one of the biggest stories in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah.
I'll just take Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
I think honestly his rebounding isn't too as strong as I'd like it to be, but I think he rounds out my team as just like a team where almost everybody in the team can shoot the ball really well. He's like a whatever passer, but
He's a solid passer, good
yeah,
cutter. I
yeah,
think uses his size well inside. Can punish mismatches. So a team wants to switch an action with Steph. He punishes a small defender inside. He great athlete, of course. Has
yeah,
arguably been robbed out of two dunk contest wins. And defense uses size well. Can versatile. Can defend the forwards. Some guards can small 5 would maybe be a bit overtaxed, but a definitely guy that can play that role. Sort of his size and versatility on that end. So
yeah,
I definitely like that pick. And I think clearly especially with all the guards you have, like Jamal Murray wasn't really an option.
yeah.
So the pretty obvious pick and a guy that's had some pretty huge moments this postseason. I think 2 game-winning shots, and then the game-tying shot in Game 3 against OKC a few nights ago. So it's come up clutch multiple times. Now, for my last pick, I'm missing someone from the Knicks. There's not a different can't take a point guard, so I might be able to rely on sort of D Mitch, back of one, or Jokic trying to run the offense. Which I think is fine. I don't think I need a point guard really, but I'm gonna go with OG Anunoby. I think his has had some struggles on the offense recently in the Boston New York series, but and his defense has been incredible. He uses his hands super well. His size, sort of strength, sort of wall off people, versatile. It may be a bit redundant with him and Jay McDaniels, but it doesn't hurt to have 2 elite wing defenders. So yeah, that's my last pick, and the guy that can also shoot the 3 well. Um, Shoots at like 37% on high volume, and not giving me much in terms of creation and passing or sort of off the dribble game, but another sort of defensive guy for my team that will kind of help round out and play his role well. So yeah, that's both our teams. So we kind of recap who we have. Do you want to go first for the recap?
Oh yeah. So my team, I'll have Curry running the 1, SGA running the 2, Derek White running the 3, Siakam running the 4, Mobley running the 5, and then my bench will be rounded out by Brunson and Aaron Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Definitely a fun team there. A lot of hot, high, big scorers there. My team, I have the point guard. I have Tyrese Halliburton from Indiana. Shooting guard, I have Donovan Mitchell from Cleveland. Small forward, I have Jason Tatum from Boston. Power forward, I think I'm gonna keep having. I think I am going to start Chat at the 4, and at the 5, Jokic from Chat from OKC, Jokic from Denver. Off the bench, it's a pretty much wing forward galore off the bench. But I have Jimmy Butler from the Warriors, Jimmy McDaniels from the T-Wolves, and OG Anunoby from the Knicks. So tell us which team seems better. But that's it. That's it for the pod. Thank you for coming, Kento. Thank you for
Sure.
providing
Thanks for
insight.
having me.
I'm sure we'll have you on again. It's very fun to do the draft, and hopefully we have some more exciting games in the playoffs. It's been very fun so far, and yeah, thanks for listening all the way through, and see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.